Welcome to OkState Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. We are going to continue our portal coverage, and we are going to start today with a running back that the Oklahoma State Cowboys signed out of the transfer portal, a young man who was injured last year at James Madison. Now, he was injured, no doubt about it. This is Ayo Adeyi, and he was injured at James Madison, but keep in mind, he did play his 4 games last year, and he played the 2 postseason games for James Madison, the bowl game, and then the conference championship game. So he was healthy towards the end of last year, and I love watching this young man run. This is with him when he was at UNT a couple of years ago in 2024. He's a young man out of the DFW area, super quick. I mean, this is a quick as a cat, fast guy, 5'8", 200-pound running back. Again, Ayo Adeyi, a young man that, to me, of course, Andre Richardson was number 25 and Adeyi is number 5. When I see him run, just that look right there with the black shoes, the white socks, the 5 on the back, the size, the shiftiness, the way that is Andre Richardson, if you remember from the mid-90s. Now, those weren't great teams. Andre teamed up with his brother. That right there, Andre Richardson. I mean, that's just those little quick, sweet feet, both out of the Dallas area. Andre Richardson and his brother Terrence were out of Dallas Carter. They'd be the ability to cut back, the quickness, the good speed, the vision, and then really just kind of the physical way of like the way that they like contact and the burst through the line of scrimmage. You know, this is the typical OSU scat back, go all the way back to even like a Thurman Thomas, somebody like that, and then a Barry Sanders, obviously, but more so like a Thurman Thomas, a Gerald Hudson, a David Thompson, a Kendall Hunter, and a Jalen Warren, that type of back. This is the style of back that Ayo Adeyi is, and I love that style. I think it's going to work perfect with the way that this offense is going to be able to stretch the field in the vertical passing game and then hand it off underneath, kind of like the 2010 to 2013 type of offenses when the air raid was prominent at Oklahoma State. Look at that shiftiness there. So I think Ayo Adeyi, for one, is the perfect zone back to match the vertical passing game that's going to spread the defense out both horizontally and vertical. And then also I think he's going to be a great complement to Caleb Hawkins, who is a bigger 6'2", 200-pound bruiser type guy. Now, Caleb can run, no doubt about it. But Adeyi, I think, is going to he can go inside the tackles, no doubt. But he's going to be more of your quick outside zone, wide zone type of guy, and he's going to be able to handle those types of runs. So I like the fact that Oklahoma State is bringing in a lot of talent, no doubt about it. A lot of speed, no doubt about that too. But also different styles. You have the different style of Caleb Hawkins. Here you have the little jitterbug type in Adeyi. And then here, this is a guy right here in Tre Page III, a young man that is transferring in from Tarleton State. Watch this. Wow. That reminds me, let me back that up. If you remember that 1976 run of Terry Miller down the west boundary at Memorial Stadium at OU, this reminds me of Terry Miller. This is just pure speed. It is hit the corner and outrun the defense to the corner right there, Tre Page. I'm just telling you, when I watch now, I'm not saying he's going to, I mean, Terry Miller replaced O.J. Simpson with the Buffalo Bills. He was that good. So don't get me wrong. When I make a comparison, I'm not saying these guys are going to turn into that guy. I'm not saying that Tre Page III is going to turn into Terry Miller. What I'm trying to do is give you a comp of the style of back that he reminds me of. And definitely Tre Page III will back down to nobody in foot speed. This is a guy that is a blazer. So, you know, you have the Caleb Hawkins that's going to be the bruiser with good top-end speed that can batter ram and be a guy that's hard to bring down because he's so strong and big. You have the guy like Adeyi, that's that really quick guy that shifts sideways and just kind of jump cuts to the side quite a bit, and he's that jitterbug. And then you're going to have the straightaway, really, really fast back in Tre Page III. Again, reminds me kind of Terry Miller. And then with William Mason, you kind of have a combination of all that together. So, you know, we're talking about Adeyi earlier. Now we're talking about Tre Page III. Again, guys that add differences in the running game. And whenever you're able to stretch a defense and you have to stress safeties and make them back up to respect the pass game, when you're able to handle the ball to a guy with this amount of speed, that's legit speed. I know it's Tarleton State. I know that's FCS. I don't care. Speed is speed, and Tre Page III, his speed will stand out on every field, even at the Power 5 level of Oklahoma State. So super excited to see the speed of Tre Page III. Super excited to see the shiftiness of Ayo Adeyi. And we're going to cover Caleb Hawkins in a video, not today, but in a different video down the line. And this is Joseph Hanson, a 6'5", 300-pound tackle. I think definitely a right tackle. I don't think he'll play left tackle at Oklahoma State. I think he could in a pinch, but I think definitely a right tackle out of Coastal Carolina. Goes Shaun, right? 1 year left of eligibility for Oklahoma State. And so Hanson, an offensive line recruit, again, fit. It's all about fit. Air raid, what do you want? So watch this stance right here, 2-point stance. Every time you see him lying down on the offensive line, 2-point stance. See that? So that's perfect for the air raid. You have that long length where he's able to step down inside those big, wide gaps that we're going to see with Oklahoma State in this air raid. And so I think more so than just saying, hey, Joseph Hanson is an awesome player at 6'5", 300 pounds. I think the selling point here would be to say he is a great fit because he knows how to play in a 2-point stance, and he is not a good pass blocker. He's a great pass blocker, at least at the level, the Coastal Carolina level, which is Sun Belt level, which isn't unbelievable, but it's also not terrible either. He allowed Joseph Hanson did just 3 sacks in 572 snaps last year. And again, he's going to have to make the jump to the Big 12, and the competition is going to increase. Okay, but he has over 1,000 snaps in college football. So Joseph Hanson, again, seeing him there, good footwork on the pull scheme. He is experienced. He knows what college football looks like. Not necessarily at the OSU level, but he is going to bring a lot of experience. He's going to bring very good pass blocking. And so, again, another really good fit in the sense that you're bringing a guy in specifically to pass block and then do, whenever you get the passing game going, then from a 2-point stance, the run blocking becomes a lot easier because you have the defense so spread out. And a big body like that, 6'5", 300, will be able to really just kind of make it hard to get around. And this is KJ Thomas, a young man that we got to see way too much of. Rodney Fields after him, and then also LaDainian Fields. Actually, LaDainian and KJ both, they both were very, very good track men at Del City. And so you're talking about LaDainian Fields, Rodney Fields, who is now at K-State, KJ Thomas. Thomas is a little bit older, 5'11" corner, transferring from K-State. He's a 3-star. He'll have 2 years of eligibility left. And, again, he played for Robert Jones. Don't forget, Robert Jones was a defensive back at Oklahoma State as well. And KJ didn't get to play a whole lot last year for Kansas State. Athletic, though. I've seen this guy play in person enough to know that he's really good. He played a lot of offense in high school, no doubt about that. And so he's known to be to take his sprint work personally. He loves the sprint work aspect of things. Very hard worker. Just if you need to know, just email Robert Jones about KJ Thomas and ask him about KJ, and Robert will give you a very detailed and honest answer. I would just bet, I have not done that actually, but I would just bet he would because Robert is great at those kinds of things. He's such a great coach and such a great human being. Great ambassador to Oklahoma State University, Robert Jones is, the head coach at Del City. So looking for a bigger role, KJ will be KJ Thomas than he had at K-State, partly due to injury. Another track guy, which that's a theme. You're seeing with the skill guys on offense, the secondary guys on defense, and even the linemen that they threw discus and shot. A very heavy track theme to this transfer class, and this is a guy in KJ Thomas who is another track guy, and he finished third, as a matter of fact, in the 200 meters, posted a time of 22:05 in the 200. LaDainian, just a couple years later in the 200, posted a 21:70. So you're talking about two guys that are very similar athletes. So if you need to kind of have a comp as the type of athlete that KJ Thomas is, pretty similar to LaDainian Fields, of which I know a lot of Oklahoma State fans are very excited about. As a matter of fact, they actually played together. I think there's some crossover, 1 year crossover there at Del City. So that also goes to the familiarity piece as far as building a culture, an instant culture. You have all the UNT guys that are going to build the instant culture for for the bulk of the roster, and then a lot of the other guys have played together before, like a LaDainian Fields and a KJ Thomas, and then also playing for former coach Robert Jones at Oklahoma State. So lots of familiarity, I think, is going to really help with the culture building and make that process quite a bit faster than it could be in other instances. So here, KJ Thomas wanted to cover him and get him in on our coverage of the transfer portal guys. And then this is a 6'8", the second 6'8" offensive lineman Oklahoma State has. Ashton Lepo actually is the first one from Michigan State. 6'8", 325 pounds, offensive tackle from Indiana State, and 3-star, 3 years of eligibility left. This is Kai Holec. Didn't play a whole lot for Indiana State. Originally from Seattle, went to San Diego State out of high school. Transferred to Indiana State. Actually didn't see any action last year, so I don't really know what the story is behind that. I know he's big. I know he can maul. I know he can do a lot of things like that, but I think you would have to put, you got to call balls and strikes fairly here. I think you would have to put Kai Holec in the, hey, he's big and he has potential, but I think it stays there in terms of being a prospect type guy. You can see him kind of maul right there. Probably needs to stay a little bit lower in his pads. So I want to show the key for him is going to be, can he play low enough to stay in front of big 12 caliber defensive linemen. But the good thing about that is, especially rush ends, if he's out of tackle, that you would think they would go right around him at this point. But the good thing about that is he's big, he has the size, and so he also has 3 years left. So he's going to have time to develop. So I think this is squarely, hey, you get a guy in here, you see if you can develop him, and in a year or two, let's see if you can use that 6'8" size and see what you can do. So that's Kai Holec. We're going to move on now to the quarterback spot. Kind of some insurance here. Again, going to call the balls and strikes as fair as I can. Grant Jordan, this is a guy that is transferring from UMass, originally went to Yale out of high school. Really good athlete, good size, 6'2", 210 pounds. Not the strongest of arms, but Grant Jordan obviously went to Yale, very smart. He's known more for being able to decode and decipher. There you see the arm. Not the greatest of arms, but, hey, accurate. He's known for being a very accurate passer. And then he's known for making quick decisions because he's very smart. And he's able to decipher coverages and find the right receiver and or decide to pull it down and run it like he's doing here. And I think probably the calling card for Grant Jordan is the fact that he knows how to read defenses. He knows how to make quick decisions, whether it be who to throw it to, who to check to, or when to pull it down and run. But I think also the calling card for him is his athletic ability. This is Grant Jordan's a very good athlete, a very efficient quarterback. I think he would be more of your point guard type of guy that would just distribute the ball to the playmakers, get the ball out of his hands pretty quick, and then occasionally on a zone read or even, a designed quarterback run, or if there's press coverage and nobody's open on initial read, this is a guy that could take off and run every now and then. So I think he's more of the point guard guy that would run every now and then if you needed somebody in a pinch. Let's say Drew Mestamaker goes down for a series or two because of this or that, right? Let's say you got to get by and you got to get through maybe a half. I know Alex Cate is a guy that in the past that the Oklahoma State needed out of that and it didn't work out. So I know OSU fans like right now are going, well, but let me just say this. If you needed a guy for a couple of series or to fill in here or there to get you through a short stretch, I think Grant Jordan could be a good distributor, point guard type of quarterback that could make enough plays to keep the offense rolling with the amount of talent around him. So definitely insurance at the quarterback spot and experience at the college level, at least UMass last year and Yale a couple of years ago in Grant Jordan. And this is Shaun Torgeson Again, size, 6'4", 290. Look at that. And you talk about running your feet. Wow. That's very impressive. Transferring in for Portland State. Now, I know, again, FCS, but he's a 3-star. And again, he's going to have 3 years left of eligibility. So does he have to start from day one? Absolutely not. But you got to like the feet. You got to like the aggressiveness. You got to like the way that he sets up and the potential for Shaun Torgeson. Again, 6'4", 290, 3 years left, 3-star offensive tackle, played both right tackle and left tackle. He redshirted in 2024, although he played all 4 games that year. Then he started all 12 games last year. He was a standout here. Here's another part of this is the fit. Very good in pass pro at both left tackle and left guard. Matter of fact, Torgeson allowed just 2 sacks in 411 blocking opportunities between his 4 games in 2024 and last year. Again, Portland State's in the Big Sky, which is FCS, and but he did play against BYU and he played against Hawaii, 2 Division I teams, BYU obviously being in the Big 12, and he had his highest rated games of the year against BYU and Hawaii. So he's shown that he actually can compete at this level. We'll see if he can do it consistently, long-armed, which is great for the big gaps, that splits that we're going to have with our offensive lineman, lanky. So very difficult, a long route for defenders to get around. And so while his sweet spot is probably pass blocking, he'll probably need to continue to improve his run blocking, where he did receive a lower grade in terms of, the way that he blocked. So definitely rated as a better pass blocker right now than a run blocker, but he's done a great job of transforming his body. Still in the process of finding the best version of Shaun Torgeson. So that's going to do it for today's coverage of our transfer portal guys. Stay tuned. We still have Caleb Hawkins, we still have Wyatt Young, and we still have Drew Mestamaker. I will have them all 3 on the same show later this week. So be ready for that and check that out when we release it. So until next time, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And as always, go Pokes.